NVIDIA's RTX 3060 and AMD's RX 6700 XT are some of the most popular GPUs right now, and for good reason. Current generation graphics cards are overpriced and underperforming. Thanks to the crypto mining boom, there's plenty of stock of last-gen cards. But what if there isn't? What if things are all about to change? In case you haven't been following, 40 series and 7000 series GPUs haven't been well received by gamers. In fact, media outlets such as Gamers Nexus, Hardware Unbox, and even Linus Tech Tips have given this current generation of GPUs an overall negative review. And it's because of their minimal performance increase over last gen and poor pricing. Speaking of pricing, they've gone up across the board, with the cheapest NVIDIA cards coming in at $300 US. Though prices have already begun to drop due to their low sales numbers, AMD's entry-level offering can be had for as low as $269. For a snapshot of performance tiers, check out my GPU comparison chart that I made last year. I modified it to show the current generation versus last generation. You can also find the current cheapest price for each GPU listed beside the model. Now, I've got a lot of information here, so feel free to pause the video to take a closer look. We're only looking at NVIDIA and AMD cards for this comparison. Sorry, Intel fans, they're still starting out. I moved the Enthusiast cards from last generation down to the performance tier. The increased performance from the current generation GPUs is why this has to happen. Both companies are running a strange release cycle, if you ask me. They usually start with the high end and work their way down. This time, they did start with the Enthusiast tier, but then they jumped down to the mainstream category, and they're about to release cards in the performance tier. As you can see from my chart, we really haven't seen leaps and bounds in performance over the last generation of cards. Let's talk about last generation for a second. These GPUs have become very popular in 2023. In fact, 4 out of the 5 top best-selling GPUs on Amazon are last generation NVIDIA and AMD. The RTX 3060 occupies the 1, 2, and 3 slots in this category. The RX 6750 XT comes in at number 4, and the RTX 4070 Ti has crept into the number 5. RTX 3060s are selling like a new iPhone in September. Now remember, if you're thinking about picking up a 3060, don't get the 8GB version. Go for the 12GB, because not only does the 8GB have less video memory, it also has less performance versus the 12GB bigger brother. Some of the best features you can expect from the 3060 are its 12GB of GDDR6 RAM, 192-bit memory bus, and it only needs a 550-watt power supply. Another popular card is AMD's RX 6700 XT. I would go for the XT version, not the non-XT, because that only has 10 gigs of VRAM, whereas the XT version gives you 12 and better performance on top of that. So you get 12 gigabytes of VRAM, 192-bit memory bus, just like the 3060, but you get a boost clock of 2,581 megahertz. Now, it does require a 650-watt power supply, but you do get better performance versus a 3060, and it comes with a little bit more cost. I love seeing the price of last generation's graphics cards coming down. Things like the RTX 3060 and RX 6700 XT would make great upgrades for many people. I mean, there's a reason why the top 4 slots of the Amazon best-selling GPUs list are last gen's graphics cards, and 3 of those are the RTX 3060. Real quick, if you're getting value from today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button for me so the YouTube algorithm knows that I'm making good content. I have a real quick question for you. Do you think last generation GPU prices will continue to drop? What happens when the stock runs out? Okay, so maybe that's 2 questions, but come on, think about it. These great deals aren't gonna last forever. Stock is beginning to dry up. Let's look at it real quick. RTX 3090, gone. RTX 3080, gone. RX 6900 XT, almost gone. Third-party sellers are really your only option. You can expect this to happen to the performance and the mainstream categories soon enough. Look at pricing history versus availability. As stock begins to dry up, prices begin to rise. It happens with all computer hardware. I see it with CPUs all the time, because new CPUs usually come out every year, not like GPUs where they do every 2 years or so. Once the stock runs out, that's it. The GPU manufacturers won't supply those to the companies anymore like Newegg or Amazon, and they raise prices to accommodate that small stock that they've got left. Because they know if you want that card bad enough, you're gonna pay for it. You can expect the 6700 XT and below and the RTX 3070 and below to start creeping up in prices. If I had time to make more charts, I would show you that prices have crept up a little bit from last month. Trust me, they're climbing. So if 40 series or 7000 series are your only options, what should you go with? Well, I have a few recommendations that you might want to hear about before ending today's video. My first recommendation is in the enthusiast category, and it's AMD's RX 7900 XTX. For less than $1,000 US, you can knock on the door of the 4090 with overclocking. You get 24 gigabytes of VRAM, and now they come with Starfield Premium Edition included. That releases in September, by the way, in case you were curious. And don't forget, it comes with DisplayPort 2.1, which NVIDIA doesn't even include on the 4090. You may need that in the future. The next GPU I recommend is in the performance category, and that's the RTX 4070. This is a great all-around GPU. It is a little bit overpriced right now, but once the 30 series dries up, you really don't have any other options. Now, I recommend the 4070 because it comes with 12 gigs of VRAM, and it's pretty much the performance of a 3080 for $600. I don't recommend the TI version because for $200 more, you're only gaining about 25% increase in performance overall. The last card that I recommend is the RTX 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte. Now, before you go off in the comments below on me, I'm not saying to go buy it at its $500 MSRP. No. Wait until it comes down to about $399. I think the 4060 Ti should have came with 16 gigabytes right from the get-go. And for $400, it would actually be a decent card. For $500, I'd say skip it. So just wait it out, see what happens when the stock goes away of the 30 series and 6000 series, and then we'll kind of feel it out to pricing and availability at that point. Anything lower than a 4060 Ti, and I recommend you go with the Arc A770 from Intel. It's got 16 gigabytes of VRAM, it comes in at $329, and I mean, it outperforms a 3060, heck, probably even a 4060. I don't know, I don't have the cards. But the performance is really good, and in that pricing tier, you're really not gonna find anything better. Another thing you might wanna think about is the 256-bit memory bus on the A770 versus the 192 on the RTX 3060, and the 128 on a 4060 or 4060 Ti. So what about waiting for the RTX 50 series or RX 8000 series GPUs? Remember, we still have another year yet before we should even start talking about new GPUs. AMD still has their mid-tier cards to come out with. NVIDIA might come out with a 4080 Ti or something, who knows? If you've got a 30 series or even a 20 series card and it's playing what you want it to play, don't bother upgrading. It's not worth it yet. We're always looking to the future, looking for the next greatest thing. Well, I'd say we've got some great things right here. The prices could use some work, but the performance is still there. Once things settle down, you'll be all right. If you stayed to the end of the video, thank you so much. And if you want to consume more PC-related content, check out these videos right here next. I think you'll find them interesting. And as I always say, I'm Danny with Danny's Tech Channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Try to pull you closer, I don't wanna go.